Endurance testing. How to perform endurance testing using JMeter, and why we perform endurance testing. So all those things we are going to see in today's video. Behold your horses, because without wasting much time, we'll be starting with this video. So this video is again chapter 3, so that means there are certain other chapters that we have already covered. And if I can say briefly, so if you're new to this video, we have already covered the performance testing videos where we have seen that how we can perform load testing and spike testing using JMeter. So if you are interested to watch those videos, I'll make sure to add the link on the I button, and if not, you can check the description. So consider watching those videos because those also are crucial for the performance testers. So now let's start with today's video, which is about endurance testing using JMeter. So before we move into the practical stuff using JMeter, I think it would be good to actually know about theoretical stuff. And what I mean by theoretical stuff is you should have a clear understanding about why and what the meaning of endurance testing is. So basically, endurance testing tests the ability of your application any of your software application to perform under expected user of traffic over a long period of time. So the word over here, over a long period of time, that makes a more clear definition for the endurance testing. So the whole and sole meaning of that endurance testing is the user traffic is high over a long period of time, which is also possibility in the real life. So let's say there are so many users that are active for over a long period of time, and that might cause a bottleneck in your system, and that might lead your software to the failure because resources are utilizing for a long period of time. So that we should, as a performance tester, you should test this endurance testing also. So let's see what is the main difference. So visually, if you see about load testing, this graph we have already seen. So you might be knowing about startup delay, ramp up period, and cleanup time. And let's say we are performing load testing for 500 users. So this would be the graph. And I think I should not be mentioning more about startup delay, ramp up time, and cleanup time, because if you had watched all those videos previously, you might be knowing about this stuff. So as you can see, for the load testing, this is the typical graph. Now let's see what is the difference between load testing and endurance testing. So the main difference that you can visually observe here is while performing the endurance testing, the users that will be constant over a period of long time. So this time is let's say the time for our endurance testing would be let's say it should be minimum of 30 minutes to 60 minutes. So wherever we are throwing the request, whatever the page is, whatever the URL is, we should be testing on that URL for around 30 to 60 minutes for constant user traffic. So that makes whole graph looks like this. So there will be some ramp up time, which is nothing but the time required for every threads to be alive. And then this is the constant amount of time, let's say for 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Usually or ideally in the industry standard, it is preferred to be minimum of 30 minutes and maximum of 60 minutes. And then after the test is being performed, and after the test is being executed successfully, there will be some cleanup time. So this is a typical graph visually. This is the difference between the load testing graph and endurance testing graph. So now let's look at the activity 5, which is JMeter on endurance testing. So again, this is the application where we'll be performing the endurance testing. So this is a GitHub hosted static website, and if you can see this URL, you can also test on this URL because this is my GitHub page. And so if you see over here, this was the last spike testing demo that we have prepared. Now we don't need to create the endurance testing script of JMeter from the scratch. What we can do is we can just reutilize this stuff. For that, what we will do is we'll save this template as under the whatever the test plan folder that you have. We can change the name from spike testing to endurance testing, right? And we can rename this also. GitHub page endurance test. right? So now for the number of users, let's keep it 100. Ramp up period, let's keep it 5 seconds. Loop count, it will be infinite, as you might be aware of so that is a different basically. So if you're performing an endurance testing, we should make the loop count infinite, so that each and every threads will be making an request continuously. And duration, so ideally it should be, if let's say we are performing for 5 minutes, it should be 5 into 60, which means 300 seconds. We will be performing this test for the 5 minutes only, but ideally industry standard is to perform for the minimum time of 30 minutes. So that makes us to put the value over here 1800, but we'll be performing for 300 seconds, which means 5 minutes. And the startup delay, that is usually 5 seconds. So we will be performing endurance testing of 400 users. Ramp up period is 5. Again, make sure to tick mark this box which says loop count is equals to infinite. The duration is currently we are putting 5 minutes just for demonstration purpose, but it should be ideal if you can put the 1800, minimum of 1800 seconds. Now under the HTTP request default, this value won't be will not change in our case, but you can put anything, any server name, server IP name that you want. For the request on home page, this is also the thing that won't get changed. Assertion is also the thing that won't get changed. These are the reports. Again, we will change the location where it should generate. So now it won't generate under the spike testing, it should generate under an. So the changes are done. If you can see, we have just reutilized the last template for the spike testing that we have created. So what are the changes that we have did? First, we bumped down the number of users for the first test. Since it is the first test, then we can, for the next, from the next test, we can change the number of users. Now the ramp up time is 5 seconds. We will make sure that we have loop count infinite checked again. Then duration, you can put any number. Ideally it should be 30 minutes to 60, but we are doing for the 5 minutes. Then we make sure that everything under the HTTP request default is same. Homepage assertion is the thing that you want. The path, it should be changed according to wherever you want to generate the report, and then we will hit the save button. Now we have this command to run the JMeter from the CLI. So we will just change the locations. So for generating the reports, we'll be generating inside demo and temp. Now it should be not the spike testing demo.jmax, it should be endurance testing. Okay, so these are the things that these are the changes that we need to do while we are executing the JMeter using the CLI. Now we can just enter this, and I'll wait for the 5 minutes, since the program will be in execution mode until the 5 minutes are not over, and each and every thread will be making the continuous request. So we'll let the program finish and we'll see you after the 5 minutes. So if you see, the test execution is completed, and if we now list what is inside the temp folder, so you'll find all the reports that are generated. Now we can just open ./temp. Wait. So if you see, this is the report that was generated, and if you see, according to the report, there is 98.60% failure, and only 1% of the 1.84% of the percentage is pass. So yeah, it says unknown error, and that is actually expected, because what I can say, the GitHub pages that are hosted, so all those are very the infrastructure of those virtual machines are very less, so it can't handle the concurrent, or you can say constant amount of users at the same time. It can handle the load, so unexpected load, or it can handle the spike, but it can't endure the more number of users at the same time, because the virtual machine doesn't have very good backend infrastructure. So we can also observe the response time, we can also observe the throughputs, and there are lots of graphs that we can observe. Yeah, but the page is itself responding perfectly fine, because for the single user it is working fine, but for the constant amount of users for over a long period of time, it might not work. So yeah, that's how you can perform endurance testing. And I hope that you have got the idea about how we can perform the endurance testing using the JMeter. So you can also perform this test for your GitHub pages, or you can also take mine GitHub page URL from over here, and you can test the report. You can check the report and let me know if you are seeing any different result than this. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you have got the idea about how you can perform the endurance testing, and consider subscribing to VideoGeeksNet YouTube channel if you are new to this video and you want to see more videos like this in the future. So we'll meet in the next video. Till then, keep learning and keep exploring.